Hey, I love that intro. We're just doing a quick little impromptu talk with one of my favorite people in the world. I consider her to be a leading edge entrepreneur, thought leader, and just all around amazing woman in business and person. She won't say that about herself, but I'll say it for her. I'm bringing to the stage a woman that I had the opportunity of bringing to another stage on Monday, and we're doing it again today. Mrs. Tanya Phillip Yaley, CEO and founder of K Marine Wines and a ton of other things. Let me get my
Hi.
arsehole on. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
What's up?
Thank you. Hey, Tan. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I quickly called you because I saw that you were celebrating. It was your wine anniversary, right?
Right.
I saw that on
hmm
Instagram and I said, oh, let's talk about this right quick. So, a lot of people, are coming to know women in wine, but
hmm
as business owners, I'm gonna say, right, not as consumers but as business owners, and you've been at this for a number of years. So
Right.
let's start there. When did you get your wine label, K Marine Wines? When did you get started with that?
Well, I actually got started in 2012, 2013, and I was white labeling the wine, meaning I was going to other suppliers, and I did the art and had a completely different name. And then I started to get attention in 2014. I started to get, a few people said, "Well, wow, you have wine. I want your wine." So with the attention that I was getting, I'm like, well, I need to have my own curated wine. I need to blend it myself. Because the white labeling was fun for parties. I had a Sex in the City party in 2013, and that was fun. And I had some desserts, and it was just a few friends. But when I started to get the attention of people outside of the state of Florida, that's when I realized I need to fly out to Napa and really get this thing going. So, cut to, I got pregnant in between 2013 and 2017, which is the only reason why I slowed down a little bit. So I started the process to blend the wine in 2013, 2014, but didn't get to fly out there and actually blend it until 2017. So yesterday was the wine anniversary of the day that I actually blended my Cabernet and my Chardonnay in Napa. So sat there with the beakers. The place where they have the wine smells amazing, because it's huge vats of different types of wine. And I blended it together and came up with the name K Marine Wines. And I came up with the name K Marine Wines because K Marine is actually my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it was a completely different name that I'm not even going to mention because somebody else was using the original name that I wanted to use. And they weren't marketing it. But what my broker said to me, they were like, if you ever get famous with this wine, you'll have to pull everything off of the shelves. And at the time, I was thinking, I'm like, oh, famous means I have thousands of bottles out there. And that just seemed so far fetched for me at the time in 2017. But I'm glad that I listened, because it has been a journey, and here we are, and I'm talking about it, and I'm so glad I used my middle name instead of the name that I was going to use before, because as the wine is gaining popularity, I would have had to let go of that name. I would have had to delete my Instagram page. I mean, back then my Instagram page had a couple, not even, it wasn't even at 100 followers yet when I started my Instagram page in 2017, and now it has we're at 29,000 as of yesterday. We dipped down for a little bit, not to talk about politics, but it was weird. I did have a number of people following me in um, over in Eastern Europe and Russia. And at first I thought, I'm like, wow, why did I lose so many followers in one day? And then obviously with everything going on in the news, it made sense. So, prayers for both sides right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with that said, I think
Yeah.
I answered the question.
Yes, you did answer the question. So I like to go back into the mindset because, with Manifestor Media, we're very big on the mindset before we get to the business, the money making, the success, all of that kind of stuff. What gave you the gumption, the audacity? What were you
Right? The
thinking?
audacity. That
What
is such a
thoughts were
great
you
word.
thinking that you thought when no one else was thinking? You thought when no one else was thinking that I can own a wine label, I can have a wine brand when you're not seeing anyone else that looks like you. What were you thinking that you said, I can do this? I want to do this and I can do this.
God, it does feel like a really long time ago now. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't just that there wasn't just people that look like me. There wasn't any women in wine back then. And the women that were in wine, and to this day, I'm not going to name any names because I'm not, trying to advertise for anybody. But there were certain women that were in wine that were not using their names, using generic names, and they were making millions, but no one knew that they were women behind them. But I came
Mm-hmm.
up in the restaurant industry, and when I say came up, in my 20s, I worked through my way through college, and I went to both Florida State University and FAM, where I eventually got my bachelor's degree. And going to both Florida State and Florida A&M, and Florida A&M being a historically Black college, and Florida State being Florida State, it taught me that you could really. That it taught me that I could really do anything I set my mind to. Because my parents wanted me to go to Florida State. I wanted to go to FAM, and within 3 years of me being in Tallahassee, I was a FAM because it was something that I believed I wanted to do. I'd always known I wanted to go to an HBCU. So that was one thing. Um, then when I got to the HBCU, more of my friends were at Florida State because I was working. That's when I started working in the restaurant business. Because I rebelled against my parents, now I didn't have any funding to to go to college. So I really had to find a way to make income quickly, and that was working in the restaurant business. And at the time, there were not a lot of Black women, Black girls working as servers in or waitresses, whatever you want to call us, back then. And that's really when I fell in love with wine. I fell in love with wine as a waitress, and I just started looking into, and this is in the early 2000s. I just started looking into the people who owned restaurants, and these big restaurants, and I will drop a name like Cheesecake Factory, for instance. I found myself working at Cheesecake Factory, and I'm like, this is such an amazing brand. Just because of the way I am, I love Google. I've always loved to Google things. And I Googled it and I found out, I'm like, wow, there's a family behind the Cheesecake Factory, which is even back then was a pretty big company. So I'm like, so who else is doing things like this? Little families behind really big brands, but nobody knows that they're really big brands. And the
Mm-hmm.
further I dug, the more I realized that there's a lot of small families, or quote unquote small people. Like if you met them on the street, you wouldn't know that he was the person behind Nike, or she was the person behind, I'm just dropping, Target, whatever. So cut to when I decided to start the wine label, I had all of this in the back of my mind. And I'm like, if I want a wine and I want it to be the way that I like the wine, then I need to curate it and I need to make it. And why not make some money along the way? So so that's
Right.
what drew me out to when I started the search, when I started the Google search, the only brokers at the time were in Napa. So there wasn't really anyone else brokering for small people like myself, to create their own wines. So
Mm.
that's what drew me to California. So it wasn't automatic that I wanted to go to California. I put out a wide net, and I'm like, I really want to learn this, without having to become a sommelier, because I wasn't really interested in becoming a sommelier. I was interested in actually having it as my own. Um, and then once I did that, so cut to in between when I was white labeling it and when I actually curated the wine. In between there, I got an order from a client, a friend actually, in Pennsylvania. So they were two of my really good friends were having babies, at the same time, and they had baby showers in the same weekend, one in Brooklyn and one in Philadelphia. And I went up there to both baby showers. And when I got to the second baby shower in Philadelphia, my girlfriend sat me next to the founder of what's now called the Walnut Club. It's a nonprofit up in Pennsylvania, still going. And she sat me next to her. And the first thing that she did was turn to me and say, Brittany told me that you have a wine label. Now, mind you, I was still white labeling at the time that she turned to me and said this. Anybody can white label. I mean, Party City can white label. They do. Um, and I
Hold
said to
on,
her,
hold
like,
on. Just for the people who may not know, because we are all about revealing opportunities for people, making things easier and simpler for you to
mhm.
have success and get to the money, experience success and get to the money. What is white labeling?
Okay, so white labeling is basically you take somebody else's bottle and you gain permission to put your brand on it. So I don't know if you've heard of the show Desus and Mero. They're like
Yeah,
they're Bronx based crazy duo, and
I
whenever
like
they're on
them.
camera, they're crazy. They're hilarious. But whenever they're on camera, they have a bottle of liquor, and then they have a bottle of beer, but they have their logo on it. So in their instance, it could be anybody, but on the front of those bottles is their label. But clothing brands do that too. Say Beyonce, well, Beyonce has her own clothing brand. Let me think of somebody else. Somebody else that doesn't necessarily want to go through all of. They don't want to own the factory. They don't want to have to worry about the employees. They just want the t-shirts. T-shirts is actually a great way. People white label t-shirts all the time. You go buy
Yeah,
the t-shirts, you put your brand on the t-shirt, and then they sell it as your own. It's the same
right.
thing that people do in the wine industry.
It's a good way to get started. Okay, so you sit next to the lady at the Walnut Club and you're still
Well,
white
no,
labeling fine
I sit next to the lady at the baby shower. So this was an intimate baby shower with
at
only 8 people there. And my girlfriend sat me next to the founder of the Walnut Club, and the Walnut Club has, to this day, they have hundreds of club members. It's a nonprofit, women based. um to be in the Walnut Club, you have to be a woman. Okay, so this is who she sat me next to at her tiny baby shower, this powerful woman. And she said, well, you know what, we're doing a women in wine round table in a month. No, in 2 months. Was it a month? No, it was in a month, because it was the end of January 2017. And I'm like, yes, I can have the wine there. And that's when I flew out to California, and I'm like, okay, we gotta blend this wine. I need to have this wine ready because I'm going to do a presentation in Pennsylvania, and I have to have my wine there. It has to be something that I curated and I blended. And the turnaround was so quick. So I flew out there, blended it, but the label actually wasn't ready, because when you curate your own wine, not only do you have to pick the bottle, you have to pick the cork, you have to, in my case, in my Cabernet Sauvignon, when I made it, there's a blend of, I think, 6 different wines inside of the Cabernet.
mm,
Okay. But it's because when I blindly chose it, I chose more Cabernet Sauvignon grapes than the other ones, so that's why it was able to be labeled a Cabernet Sauvignon. So there's a lot of grapes in there, a lot of different types of grapes. So by the time the Women in Wine event happened, I had to use the bottles that were my samples and travel to Pennsylvania in the snow, dragging these bottles that had no label and no cork. They were literally the ones I had just finished making. And that's what I
mm.
got to Pennsylvania. So they were really, really strong. So I got those women tipsy. They were really, really strong because it's literally like they had just blended it. But I was up on the podium with a Nobel Prize winning author, and I was up on the stage with another woman who's a lawyer who had just started her vineyard with her husband. And it was funny, there was only a few Black women in the audience at the time, and everyone kept asking me that. The audacity, it wasn't saying necessarily what's the audacity, but they were like, what makes you think that you can make wine? There's no, at the time, they said to me, they're like, there's no one else out there like you. And let me tell you that when my best friend and I got there, because my best friend came up and helped me pack everything, we got there in our sweatsuits, and we came in through the back in the kitchen because we had to pull this wine in through the snow. Okay, so we're preparing it because now remember, we didn't rent a car because it was Philly and there's nowhere to park in Philly. So we had to Uber to buy the type of bottles that would be presentable to people at this presentation instead of the ones that had tape on it. So we rebottled it, made it look all nice, and then changed into the outfit that I was actually going to present in. And while I was back there getting the bottles ready, they thought I was a server. They thought I was the help. So they kept passing me, other women that were in the kitchen kept passing me their bottles to open for them. And I did. I had no thinking about it now, it cracks me up. So I opened up their product for them. And then once everybody was seated, put on my suit. And when I walked through the crowd to get up on stage, they were just like, oh shit. Not realizing that, that it was my wine. And they just went crazy about it. And then after that, I had my debut in once again in Philly at the Walnut Awards. And I provided sparkling wine for everyone, and we had bottles and bottles. By this time, we did have the label done and designed, and it was ready to go. And they went through probably about 40 bottles of wine that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
40
this is back 40,
bottles
yeah.
of
And this is back
wine.
yeah, this is back when it was like $85 a bottle. Now it's at $30 a bottle. But back then it was at $85 a bottle.
And it's really good. I'll go ahead and plug right now and drop it into our chat for whoever's watching, wherever they're watching. And you can go to kmarinewines.com and check out some of the different bottles that she has. We have
Hi, people.
some Golden Goddess in our house, and we also have a bottle of the Cabernet.
You have the blue label or the yellow label?
We have a vintage bottle that we're never gonna open until like maybe the company hits like the first million or something.
I agree because you know what? There's five people out there like that. You, Nick's my husband's parents, um, and a few other people that knew us from the art gallery, and I signed theirs, and they told me to this day they haven't opened it up.
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
haven't we haven't opened ours up. It's a collectible, and we know it's a collectible because we're holding out for great things with K Marine wines. I'm definitely a K Marine wines fan. My favorite bottle is the Golden Goddess, which has the golden edible flakes in it. So I love that one. So I do want to know, like, it's the wine anniversary. What's coming for the future? And we have a question from Alicia. She
hi
wants
Alicia.
Alicia wants to know, do you have any plans? This is a funny question, knowing you. Alicia says, do you have any plans for a non-alcoholic version?
Actually, I can honestly say yes in the future,
Shock me.
because well, listen, remember Lisa Nicole? So we just worked with Lisa Nicole up in Atlanta. We did a fashion show with her, and she doesn't drink wine.
That's
And she
right.
she does not drink wine. She's an amazing lady, and she was literally just promoting K Marine Wines because she just believed in a black women working together. She just loved us so much and the concept, but she's not a wine drinker. So I did promise her that we were going to come out with one. And then growing up, my parents don't actually, my parents and my family, they don't actually drink. So I didn't grow up in a house with wine. I learned about wine when I got into the restaurant industry. So it's kind of funny that you asked that, because right now, if I went, we're having a family reunion that I can't go to this weekend in California, and none of them are wine drinkers. So it's going to be it's they drink, what is it called? The Welch's sparkling grape juice,
That's what
which is
I
actually
drank
really
growing up.
good.
Yeah, my family was never big drinkers either. And when like New Year came, that kind of stuff, my mom always got sparkling wine, or I mean, not sparkling wine, sparkling cider, Welch's, stuff like
Sparkling
that.
cider. And man, as a kid, whoo, that was like
Yeah.
when you saw the sparkling cider come out and the Welch's, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
So yes,
Gigi
that
says
is
she
on the
wants one
horizon.
of the Gigi says she wants one of the collectibles. She commented in the
Well,
chat on LinkedIn.
okay, so this is the secret to the collectible. If you go on to Instagram and you buy one on the link, Gigi, the next time I see you, I'll just sign it for you and it becomes a collectible as long as you don't open it. So
Oh, as long as you
yeah,
don't.
that's what makes them collectible is I sign them. So I've only signed five of them so far. So yeah, order one from Instagram, and it will come straight to your house. And guess
So
what? Another
what's
thing about the collectible
uh-huh.
is the mural. I have one of the bottles has a mural on it as a label, and that mural doesn't exist anymore. We just painted over that mural last month. So that is just even without my signature on it, the one that has the mural on the face of it, that's a collectible because that mural is none of all of our murals are gone. The ones that we put up in the past 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, what are you referring to that you just shut down?
The bar. So my husband and I had a bar and an art gallery and a bookstore, and we closed those. We closed those down. We lasted throughout the pandemic, but after the pandemic, there was just to stay in a positive space. There was just a lot going on in that particular city, um, and we needed a little bit more support to really get back to normal after the pandemic. And we put up the equivalent of four murals. We had a mural on the back of, we had two murals on the back of our building, one dedicated to the Guatemalan and Mexican community. And then we had another mural dedicated to the African Ghanaian cultural, because my husband is half Ghanaian. And the front had a mural that had a picture of me and my husband, me holding a paintbrush and my husband holding a bottle of beer. It was actually the only murals in one of the only murals in that particular city that had people of color. The other mural has Martin Luther King, but we just took those down. So we just white boxed that building last week, and we had a mural inside the bar. So the mural that was inside the bar, it glowed in the dark. So 2 years ago, I took that picture of that mural that was inside the building and I made it the wine label. And I dedicated it to the bar, not knowing that I was going to be letting the bar go. So now that one is definitely a collectible because when I made it, I just made it because I love that mural. And now it's that mural doesn't exist anymore. So it's pretty cool.
So, what's coming? What's in the future now? What are you thinking for K Marine Wines? And then we'll talk about some of the other stuff you're doing because women in wine are becoming popular topics. We have more storefronts. What would I call like a
End
major?
caps?
Say it again.
And wait, no, go ahead, finish. I didn't mean to
So
cut
we
you
have
off.
we have more stores like Target, Walmart, Total Wines, those type of companies pushing women in wine to the front. Instagram is pushing
Mm,
women in wine to the front because it was an anomaly for a minute, but now more people are realizing that they can do this. So
yeah.
what's coming up for K Marine Wines?
I'm afraid to even say because
What do
I
you
don't want
what
anyone
do
else to
you
take it.
no, 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 don't give us any secrets now. But what do you want? What is the vision? What are some of the goals without telling us the secrets or the trade secrets? But just what are you envisioning for the future?
Well, for starters, we need more wine. All of our blends right now are 2014 and 2015, which is okay for Chardonnay, but with Cabernet, we need to drink it. Like Cabernet Sauvignon usually has a 10 year shelf life. So I'm like knocking on the door of that 10 year shelf life for the Cabernet Sauvignon. Whereas the Chardonnay is just going to taste better every year. I had a very discerning client who happens to be my friend's mom. And when she first tasted it, she was like, oh, she's Argentinian. She's like, well, it's nice, Tanya. She's known me for like 20 years. Now cut to now in 2021, and she tasted that same Chardonnay and she's like, oh, this is amazing. This is so good. So with Chardonnay, the longer you keep it, it's just going to keep tasting better. With Cabernet, we need to pop those bottles and get drinking. So what's next? I would like to have some 2022 blends, and like every year come out with a new blend. And the one thing I will talk about is the label has always, now that each label on my bottle means something. There's a very strong meaning behind each label on my bottle. And with each label that you do, with each bottle that I produce, I have to go through the licensing with the feds, so with the federal government. So every time I come out with a new bottle, it's not like, hey, here's a new bottle. It's like, hey, hey guys in DC, and hey people in California, and hey all the other wine labels. Is anyone using this name? Thankfully, it's still my middle name, so no one's ever, I've locked down my middle name. But also the label for every single bottle is going to be different, and it's always going to have to do with empowerment of women. So in the beginning, I wanted each bottle to represent a different culture. So if you notice, if you can remember the Chardonnay bottle is blonde because Chardonnay is typically, a good Chardonnay is usually like a blonde, yellowish color. So that's why I chose a blonde. So that's for my European sisters. Whereas the blue label was supposed to incorporate everyone. And I have an Afro label. So I have a label that's a deep red, and it's a red blend, and it has this beautiful afro on it, and she has flowers in her hair. So that secret I can give away because it's not really a secret. Anyone that's known me, Camryn Wines has always been about women and female empowerment, and all women, all different cultures. So I wanted to have each bottle represent a different culture, all the way from your Native American woman. I have a Native American woman label. I have a Chinese woman label. So I want to do a different label. And then each one would taste different. So you have a different blend for each one. Now, the Golden Goddess one is an exclusive one. That's a seasonal one. It's actually only supposed to come out during and Christmas and Easter. And that one
Mhm.
actually comes from Eastern Europe. So we're hoping with everything that's going on that we won't have any issues getting it over here. But yeah, that's a house favorite because it's just fun, and the gold is like Goldschlagers. For those of you who don't drink, the little gold flakes that are inside of it are edible, and it's funny because especially the men when they drink it, they kind of smile a little bit because it's so pretty. How men are, but they love it. Men and women love it. It's not too sweet, but it will put you on your butt. So you have to be careful, because it is kind of strong, a little strong.
I love the Golden Goddess. I really, really do. So, what year is this that you are celebrating now?
So we started Catering Wines as a label and as a blend was 2017. So March
Okay.
3rd. What day is it today? Are we on 4th yet? We are, right?
I
I
don't
think. Well, thanks to Google, because Google was the one that told me. Google was like, "Hey, Tanya, look at this picture.
It's
This
March
is where
4th.
you
Today is
were."
March 4th.
Yeah, Google did that. Google sent me a picture on my phone, it's like, look where you were on March 3rd, 2017. And I'm like, oh, I was. And I flew out there by myself. I
Yeah.
flew out there by myself. Had a convertible Mustang, stayed in this beautiful estate that's on a vineyard, and it was amazing. Had dinner by myself. It was like my coming into my independence, because I was recently divorced in 2013. And so 2015 I just started dating somebody who I ended up having twins with. But I was right. So yeah, this wine label is really about independence. It's about independence, finding
Mhm.
yourself, all the things that are like catchphrases now. It truly did birth out of that, because I was just coming out of a divorce. I was just coming into my own. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna keep on that vein. We're gonna keep on that track and just keep. It's not a fad for us. It's not like, oh, let's talk about women entrepreneurs and see and use it as clickbait.
Mm.
Like, this is truly who we are. And every woman that I've met, from the non-alcoholic drinkers to the ones who drink, we're on that same path, whether we're trying to be the best mom that we can possibly be, or
Mm.
trying to be the best employee, best wife, best, just whatever it is. That's what the wine is going to continue to represent.
Mm.
That's
I
not a
love
trade
that.
secret. That's just who we are.
I love that. I really, really love that. So I have a couple questions for the people in the audience. No, I hear a
I just
child.
read that when the help ends on up on the podium. Who said that?
Wait a
Yeah, that was,
second. I just got interrupted thinking about how we can be the best moms ever. So either who. Couple of questions for you because the women that watch all the things that Manifest Her Media are about. And we will have some great things coming up with K Marine Wines pretty soon, sooner than you think. I'm very excited about that. Um,
yay, me too.
yeah, so people are always looking to partner, looking to collaborate. What type of partnerships and collaborations does K Marine Wines um, like to form? Like, who do you work well with?
Anyone that's in the crypto space, NFT space, artists. Um, I say too much. I'm working on that. Anyone that's, because I'm an artist at heart. So I'm not just planning to be an NFT collector. I'm working on an NFT collection as well.
Are
And
you now?
yeah, it takes it takes a lot of, for me anyway, as that channeling that part of myself. I need a lot of time and quiet, and I only get that quiet from 8:30 in the morning until 2, and then it's mayhem from 2 onwards. So it's taking me a little bit longer. When I started King Wines back in 2017, I had one grown child. He was 4 or 5 at the time. And the twins were babies. The twins literally were born in 2015, so they were babies, and I was getting a lot of help from my parents. But now everyone is grown. My twins are about to be 7 next weekend. My new husband, his daughter is 6 months younger than my twins, and they need a lot. And my son is 14, and he looks like a linebacker, and I'm not a big football person, so I don't know what I don't know what to do with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for partnerships with moms who are trying to figure this out. The community that I have on TikTok is a mixture of, my youngest fan is 14, and my oldest fan is in her 70s. So it's like, the one thing that they all have in common, my younger audience, they're trying to figure out how to get into this like entrepreneurial world, and be somebody in this space, but they don't want to be stressed out doing it. So it's a little bit different when I'm talking to my millennials and my Gen Xers. My Gen Xers don't, they just think the stress is like we're supposed to be stressed. This is what we do. This is what we do. The millennials are a little like, do we really have to be stressed? Is stress really a part of all this? Where the Gen Zers are like, no stress. We don't want the stress. Your other generations, you guys can keep the stress. We want to make this happen. We want to be happy. We want to be fulfilled, but we still want to succeed. So it's so interesting being on these different platforms and learning about the different generations and how they're taking in this information. So I'm really open to partnerships right now. I'm just open to partnerships who with people who have good intentions, um, but also plan on, I hate to say good intentions. It's more, I mean, you have it in the name of your company. The
Well,
manifestors
you
out
can
there.
say you can say instead of good intentions, because I know what you mean, you can just say partners who are intentional. Because
There
if
you go. Thank
someone
you.
is, yeah, if a
Partners who
company,
are intentional.
yeah, if a company or a person is intentional, then they're able to tell you about their intentions, and then you can decide if those intentions align with you and
Right.
your
I like that.
intentions, your values, your goals, your mission, your brand.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah. And so then I'll add
Intentional.
this too, because I am an advocate for the people that I surround myself with.
Yes.
When you hear me talking about certain people that I am connected to, I actually probably always mention the same five people in every
Mhm.
live or something that I do. So that's interesting. But so I will say as well that the type of partnerships, the type of collaborations that K Marine Wines is to connect to are also of a growth mindset. The companies
Yes.
are
Growth
also,
mindset.
yeah, the companies are also progressive and
Mhm.
innovative. And I'm not talking progressive politically, I'm talking progressive in their mindset and their approach to
Mhm.
how they do business. And so we are, I say we, and then I smile. We love to collaborate.
Yes.
We love to collaborate, but we are intentional and strategic about those
Mhm.
collaborations and partnerships. And we're looking for that in partners and collaborators. So I'm looking forward to everything that's coming out in K Marine Wines and the NFT space, the crypto space. That is very strategic for you to say that
Mhm.
you're looking to have those type of partners and collaborators, because the NFT and crypto space is very much paired to wine and drinking right now.
Well, it's still a boys club though.
Hmm.
So it's still the crypto and NFT space is still a boys club, and there's still a lot of scammers out there, which is how I got my my page hacked. So I really want to I really want to help women navigate this space and not shy away from it as soon as the first scammer pops into their inbox. And I have noticed that there's more and more women coming out and talking about how to protect yourself from the scammers. But if you're on the outside right now, the crypto space and the NFT space just seems like there's a lot of noise going on because the news and the media, they're jumping on the fact that, oh, look, this person just made $50,000, and the Bored Apes made millions and millions of dollars. And then they also talk about the rug pulls and the scary things. So if I was new to this space and didn't know half as much as I knew right now, because I've been in this space since Bitcoin was a baby, an actual, baby. And if I was new to this space in 2022, I would not mess with it because it's scary. It's either you're making millions and millions of dollars or you're losing thousands of dollars, according to the media. But there is a way to get into it safely and along with everything else that you're doing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, speaking to other women about that and incorporating in, some of the men that are very vocal in the crypto community. All of their information, it's free. So what what intrigues me about it is a lot of people don't know how much information is out there because there's so much information out there. So yes, I would love to partner with people who are offering the information for free so more people can get into it. Unlike with the stock market, like you have to have your broker and you have to pay these broker fees, and there's nothing wrong with that because I have stocks too. Um, but the crypto space and the NFT space, it's something different, especially for artists. Right now, artists are kind of like 70-30 on getting into the NFT space, and it's just because a lot of them don't really understand it yet. Um, and that's something I'm looking to do, down the road. Yeah, bring the wine, we get everybody happy, and then we talk and we brainstorm.
So two things pop out for me right now that I want to say. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Leading edge and quality
Hmm.
people.
Quality people, yes.
I wrote those two things down because as you were speaking, they were blaring out at me, right? And so I want to say this, that you want to surround yourself with women. We talk about women here, but people, right? But you want to surround yourself with women who are always on the leading edge of
Yeah.
greatness, of just awesomeness. And in order for you to be able to identify these people in your life who are on this leading edge, right? You have got to tap into your intuition. You've got to have
Hmm.
habits and practices for yourself. And I
Yes.
feel these people, these women ruminating in my soul right now. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they are. They might not even be watching it right now, but somehow I know this message is going to get to them, that you're having a struggle right now as to what's your next move? Where do I go? I'm going to ask you to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what do I want? And when you get clear about what it is you want, you're going to be able to identify that when it's showing up as people in people. So I bring that up to say that Tanya is a woman who is always on the leading edge of things. I don't know how she does it, but she does it, right? Like she'll just randomly introduce in conversation, oh yeah, my Bitcoin, oh yeah, my Netflix, oh yeah, but I don't know what she be talking about, right? And then I'm like, oh, you've got to tell me about this. Tell me about this. So she teaches me, but I know that the way that she showed up in my life, I'm excited right now, y'all, is because I was very clear about what I wanted just for myself. And then my intentions allow relationships with people like her to come through, with people like Gigi to come through, with people like, I mean, a lot of the people we have commenting right now, with people like
Yeah, I
Alicia.
see you, Kamala talking about her sister Kina, Crypto Girl Magic. I will
Crypto
make sure
Girl
I follow
Magic.
that. Yeah,
Woo! We got one for the
yeah,
team right now. Okay, Crypto Girl, this is exciting. This is what you want, right? You
yeah,
want
yeah.
to form this alliance of women who are on this leading edge of thought, of action, of doing. And so then that leads me to the next thing I wrote down, which is quality people. A lot
Hmm.
of times when we're identifying quality, Tanya, the reason how people are getting tripped up a lot of times is because they're identifying quality with a certain amount of money. And
Hmm.
for some people, that money has not manifested just yet.
Hmm.
But if their practices and habits, their mindset is where it should be for them, right?
Hmm.
It's literally like happening tomorrow. If
Well, see
what
that
I'm
that's where the segue comes in. So that's what I've been posting about. You've been posting about. It's
Ooh,
called.
we didn't even talk about that yet. Oh,
So I just started trying to master what's called the billionaire's algorithm, right? It's like this thing, these steps that all of these billionaires follow. They get up in the morning, they have certain things they do throughout the day, but they also have certain things that they do throughout their life. And those four steps have to do with the liking, the wanting, the doing. Doing is like, to me, the thing that stands out the most. Like, you have to like what you're doing. You have to want to do the thing. But before you get to the like, because I repeat this to myself all the time, before you get to any of those things, before you get to the liking, the doing, you have to notice that you actually want to change. You have to notice that you want to get out of whatever your programming is. So as you can probably tell from my speech, I love computers. At the end of the day, I love tech. I came up in tech. I mean, 80s kid, but I love tech. So I always look at myself and look at my brain, and I'm like, the mind is like a computer. And if we can reprogram computers, why can't we reprogram ourselves? Why can't we sit down and think about and notice the things about ourselves that we don't like and reprogram it? And that's why I've been pushing the billionaire algorithm, hashtag billionaire algorithm, um, so much, because I think anybody and everybody can follow these steps and possibly find out who our higher selves are. And our higher selves are, and a lot of you probably know about this, is basically the best version of yourself. The self that a lot of us, I think, don't really tap into enough because we hear the noise that's going on in society, and maybe we forget about our higher self. But think about yourself as a kid. When you're a kid, before anything traumatic happens to you, and you're just you're not worrying about what society says. When you're a kid, you're like, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm going to play with my Barbie, or I'm going to play with my LOL dolls, or my GI Joe, whatever. You're literally feeling yourself as a kid. But then we grow older and all this noise comes in from the outside, whether it's our parents or whether it's the media, and we forget that our higher self never left. It's just buried down there. So
Yes.
that's what I've been doing. So every morning you know I do that. I just started, and I have to say that Quadira has definitely helped me. Like this morning, I was not feeling it this morning. My girls burnt me out this morning. They were three little girls, okay, and they drained a little bit of my energy. And then Q called me and she said, "Do you want to get on this phone call?" I'm like, "Yes, yes. Just let me get this oatmeal in me. Let me watch my crypto news. Let me take this shower. Let me get up and get dressed." Like I'm going to an interview. Like I'm physically going into the studio. And two things happened. I had a negative email that came through, and I had a negative phone call that came through. But because I've been reprogramming my mind and who I am, I said, email, done. Phone call, done. You are not going to come into this space and take over, because I am in charge of my reprogramming. If Instagram can change the algorithm of their entire program, even when people were telling them, no,
Come
you shouldn't
on
change your
now.
algorithm, then damn, I can change my
Come
algorithm,
on
right?
now. That's what I'm talking about right
Right?
there. Like, let's
Exactly.
go. Come on. Oh,
I'm
I love
ready. I'm
when you
ready.
say that. It gives me the goosebumps every time I hear it. If Instagram can change their algorithm, I was
Hmm.
about to curse, but god dang it, I could change mine too. You don't
Exactly.
control or run me. I'm in control of this
Exactly.
show. Let's
Because
go.
we're the main characters in our own stories. Like that main character, because I saw a couple of people hashtagging about main character energy, and that resonated with me, because like no matter what's going on in your life, you are still the main character. It doesn't matter if you're the mom, the wife, the boss, the employee. At the end of the day, when you're in the bathroom, you're in the shower, it's just you. It's just you. You are the main character in your life. And I think if we all start acting like that, still caring for those around us, but remembering, what is it on a plane? When you're on a plane, what do they tell you to do? They tell you to put your face mask on first and then put your kid's face mask on. Because if you
Right.
pass out before your kid, then what happens? No one's there to help him or her, right? So we need to do that. We need to put our, oxygen mask on first, make sure we're good, make sure we're healthy, and then we'll be here longer. And, quality of life, all that is connected. So you
And
just got
that's
me
what
on
I'm
my soapbox. I'm gonna come off my soapbox.
That's what I'm talking about with quality people. Like that's why it
Quality
was
people.
blaring out to me because I had forgotten to mention this whole billionaire algorithm thing that you're on and for how you identify quality people. Once you identify what you want, how you're going to identify quality people is by identifying what you want and then seeing who is walking the walk and talking
Hmm.
the talk, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have those moments where you're down or whatever, they're not speaking to you from that level of what you may be feeling right now. They're still speaking to that billionaire algorithm in you. They're never
Hmm.
going to speak to the lower self you. They're always going to speak to the highest you.
Exactly.
That's quality
Exactly.
people.
That's quality people. Exactly. Yes. We
Mm.
we all vibrate on a certain level. I mean, it's just, and it's actually science. Like, we have these different emotions offer different vibrations. And it's not like, it has been proven in the scientific community that we actually have frequencies that we vibe with. Sadness and depression vibes at a certain frequency, but joy and love, that also vibes at a certain frequency. That's the other thing that I've been getting into, is these frequencies, and it's amazing when you realize you're vibrating a little bit lower. I remember a girlfriend of mine years ago said to me, "Let's always vibrate higher." She's actually one of my TikTok friends, and she's an NFT artist, young, beautiful Black girl, and she's like, we should always be vibrating higher. And this is like almost 10 years ago, and we're all like, "You should put that on a shirt. That's awesome." But now a lot of us that are in this, in this community, a lot of these women, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to step into our higher self. We're trying to vibrate higher. I'm not saying that we can't be sad. This is not one of those everything has to be positive. But when you recognize that someone's making you feel like that, then you just step out of it and you figure. With me, I change the frequency. I'll put something on that, musical wise, or you can YouTube frequencies nowadays. Like, I'll look for certain frequencies before I go to bed. I put a certain frequency on for the kids at night. When I'm trying to get the house in a mode, in a good mood on Saturday mornings, Afro beats. That's our thing. Saturday mornings, I put on Afro beats, and it's like, no matter what I'm stressed about, the frequency that comes through in a lot of their music will raise my vibration. So I'm paying attention to it. And I think a lot of us, that's where that reprogramming comes, to understand that it comes from somewhere and it's not necessarily always you. I've noticed some people on TikTok have said things like, how to get out of the matrix. If you want to get out of the matrix, how do you get out of it? Well, you block it. You start to see something negative coming at you, just like block it, block it, and let the good vibes flow. I know
We
you
have
meditate and you do yoga, so
wait, what do you say? You say I do yoga and you do what?
you do yoga and you meditate. Like, that's one of the top ways to vibe higher.
Girl, you know
You know?
magical things be happening to me when I do. I call
Yes.
people and be like, "Oh my God, guess what just happened to me this morning?"
That's what Monday felt like. That's what Monday felt like. Remember, we talked about this too. Starting the week like that, with just being surrounded by these beautiful women. Everyone showed up dressed up. Everyone on Monday looked amazing. And the colors, did you notice the colors were popping? The colors
Colors
from
was
Gigi and
popping,
her
energy
the
was
colors were
popping,
popping. Hmm.
networking was popping. And I'll tell you, I don't think we set that up intentionally, I guess, to be on a Monday. But then I thought about it and I probably did make that decision unconsciously because my business astrologer, Wilda Preble, who might still be on here. I know we saw a comment from her earlier. She said, "Great questions." One of the questions I asked you, but she said she tells us how to plan our week according to the stars, right? And so this is some of the work that
Hmm.
she does as a business astrologer. Again, I told y'all, I mentioned like the same five people on every live or thing that I do. And so she tells us that Monday actually means moon day. And so that we as
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, as businesses, as a community, a society, we have it a little bit backwards. And I have my theories on why, because of like the worker bee mindset that's poured into people. But she says Monday is actually moon day, and you're actually supposed to go within, um,
Mm-hmm.
and do things that feel good, that feel magical, and that's setting your week up for success. So it made sense as to why
Mm-hmm.
we had like this magical
It was
manifest
magical.
Monday,
Mm-hmm. And I'm
because
an Aquarius. And I'm Aquarius because you see what she's saying up there. And I'm an
yeah.
Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius slash Pisces. So I'm feeling it. I'm really
Yeah,
feeling it.
look, somebody said also Monday. Oh, that Monday. That's probably Wilda. I can't see her name, but sounds like
Mm-hmm.
her. She says also that Monday, the moon was in socializing, community oriented Aquarius. Mondays belong to the moon. Women are connected to the moon. So Monday was perfect. That's most likely her.
Yeah, because I see Wilda down here, but I also see Facebook users. So that might be her. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was also good. And I discovered
Great.
something on this amazing platform that LinkedIn gifted me. I didn't even know that we could show
It's
these
me.
comments. Do you see
She said
this?
it's me. Yeah, this is awesome. So how are you doing that? Because I have to
So,
figure out how to get my TikTok involved in this because they can only right now they can only see my part and hear my part of the conversation. So I definitely want to get them. I love this. Restream Studio.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I told this little story. I applied to be a LinkedIn creator. They were giving out a stipend of $15,000. And so I applied. I didn't make that cut, but for everyone that um, didn't make the cut, they gifted you all of these amazing tools to continue to create and do great work. And this was one of the tools that they gifted me, Restream. So you can, no, I'm not getting any affiliate fees for this. I'm just putting y'all up on some game
I
that
love it.
you can restream to up to 30 platforms with this. And so this is a new thing I discovered today, that you can show the comments on screen. I didn't even know I could
This
do
is
that.
pretty
It's
bad. I love it.
awesome.
Badass.
Yeah. So Wilda said, it's me.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying because I can see the comments on the side. So
So
it
once
looks
you
really good.
fall in love with your people, your community, promote the hell out of them. Again,
Yes.
one of my tribal members, Gigi Diaz, we had a you were there. I forgot you were there. But we went to that happy hour at Chica, right? And one of the women
Yes.
that was there that she introduced us to was Lauren Mariscano of the
Mm-hmm.
Networking Maven, I believe. And Lauren was talking about having your three people, like having your people that you
Oh,
promote
that's a
the
magical
hell.
number. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a magical number. Mm-hmm.
that you promote the hell out of those people, and you guys are always referring business to each other and building yourself that way. And that goes back to what we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about, having people around you that are always going to speak to the algorithm in you, the millionaire algorithm in you, instead of anything else. They don't even recognize anything else. We own millionaire and
Mm-hmm.
billionaire algorithms only. Period. And that's
Yep.
not just finances, y'all. We talking about mindset. We talking about
Mindset,
manifesting
exactly.
her. Whoever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you want to be.
Whoever, yeah, it's really up to us. Whoever we want to be is really up to us. And I
Yeah.
think that's the space that a lot of us are moving into. I can't say everyone, but a lot of us are moving into that space as we are moving away from the influencer and more of the creative space. Because you notice that like now Instagram and TikTok, all these paper places are talking about the creator and not necessarily the influencer. Because to be a creator is to be about what you create instead of depending on other people to tell you what you should be creating, you know. And I love this space. But I did ask the universe. I'm like, I want my best possible reality. I need to, whatever I need to do to be in the best possible reality for myself. I'm like, I'm ready for that journey. And I feel it's been coming. It's been bumpy, but I definitely feel it because moving on from having a brick and mortar space, my identity was attached to that building, but letting go of those buildings has never been. I feel so free. I feel so much freer. I feel like I did back in 2013, 2012 when I started on this journey. So I'm excited. I'm excited to work
Now,
with
you
you,
know,
Gigi, all of these beautiful women.
when I called you this morning, I said, let's just jump on for 15 minutes. It has been 1 hour, and
We've been on here for an hour.
I totally forgot that I have a 1 o'clock face-to-face in-person meeting, and it is now 12 p.m. Eastern. So I need to go ahead and do that. But this wasn't supposed to be an episode of the podcast, but it's gonna be now.
Yes, I'm so ready.
But I have a question. I have a couple questions since we're in this that I like to hit you with some rapid fire questions right quick.
Ready for the rapid fire
Yeah.
questions.
My friend Steph Stanford, she's so funny. Whenever I'm so self-conscious of saying right quick now because she says to me that only black people say right quick. That's what she said. And
Well,
then I was like, is that true? Let me holler at you right quick. Or she'd be like, she says to me all the time, why it gotta be right quick? Why can't
right
you just
quick. But it is right quick. It's a great term.
it's not true. I told you, let's hop on this live right quick, and it's been an hour. So
This is true. This is true. But I mean, the grand scheme of the universe, it is kind of right quick, right?
true that. It's true. Oh, that's so good. Thank you. All right. So rapid fire questions here that I love. You ready?
I'm ready. Rapid fire questions. I'm ready.
Meditation or prayer?
Meditation.
Coffee
But
or
to me,
tea?
meditation is prayer. It's a form of it.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Coffee. Coffee
I
with
know
me.
it's coffee
Coffee.
for you. Read books or audiobooks?
Read books. I prefer to read books over audiobooks.
Um, home cooked food or 5-star restaurant food?
Man, if I could have 5-star restaurant food all the time and it's just like always healthy, then yes, I would love to be served. Come on. But home cooked meals, I'm budgetary for budgetary reasons. Home cooked meals, I'm going to choose that.
Okay, so if budgetary reasons, you'll cook home cooked food. Wow woman reasons, like which one would you choose?
I would have an in-house if the billionaire algorithm is working for me and I'm already at that point where
When,
I'm making
when,
the
when,
millions,
when,
when
when,
and it's already here, right?
when?
So when that happens, I want to cook in the house who will make the home cooked meals that feel like the 5-star meals. Because I'd
Okay.
always rather be at home with my family and enjoy a good meal. So I'd like a little bit of both.
Do it yourself course or one-on-one coach and consultant.
Do it yourself course because that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years is building courses for different platforms.
And then our last two, general admission or VIP.
VIP, baby. You know I love
And then
VIP general admission.
I know. My fancy friends, I love it. They pull see y'all, they speak to the fancy in me that I like to push down sometimes. My fancy friends be like, no, let that fancy girl
Let
out.
the fancy out. Come on.
Let's go. $10 water and all.
Hey, Perrier, are you throwing shade at Perrier?
I ain't throwing shade or nothing. I'm just saying what y'all call out of me, and I love it. I need it. I must surround myself with fancy individuals because I've been humbling my fancy for so long, and you all give me permission to unhumble my fancy because that piece exists in me. I just have allowed it to lie dormant. So I'm having fun bringing that fancy out of
It
me.
is. It is
And as
fun
Rose
being
said,
fancy.
Wilda said, "Girl, you are fancy. I've been around you. I've seen you." And I say, "Okay, but it's something I'm still accepting." Last
I
question:
definitely saw that in you.
virtual or face to face?
I'm coming to appreciate virtual. But definitely prior to the pandemic, I loved face to face. I love a good girls' night out or a good date night. But I'm coming to appreciate virtual. Now, if you would ask me to do this interview prior to the pandemic, I'd be like, "What are you talking about, Q? Why can't we go sit somewhere and do this?" But now I'm like, "Okay, you want to get on the computer? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let me go get prepared." So and virtual is the way of the future. So that I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the future. So I'm gonna say
Okay.
virtual.
Now I'm going to remove myself from the screen and I'm going to ask you to look into the camera and speak from your heart to women and say, "Dear women, I'm
Dear
Tanya.
woman.
Dear woman, I am Tanya, and I want you to know more than anything else. And I want you to tell us what you want us to know more than anything else."
Okay. Dear women.
Ready?
Okay. I'm gonna try and remember all of that. Okay,
Just,
I'm
dear
ready.
woman, don't forget your name, but dear woman, I want you to know more than anything else.
Okay.
And I'm
I'm
gone.
ready. Dear women, I want you to know more than anything else that the power is within you. Your higher self is within you. That is the one thing I want you to know more than anything else. We are goddesses. We are all goddesses, and the power is within us. Love you guys.
Thank you. I'm so excited that we did this. Sometimes
Me
the most
too.
magical things happen unscheduled. And so this was great. I feel more than empowered for my next meeting with an even a dynamic woman, another dynamic and powerful woman. And so I'm just surrounded by dynamic and powerful women these days. And this has been another Manifest Her Media interview, and you guys can expect so many more to come. And I can't wait to announce what me and Tanya have coming up next. We're not
Woo!
going to say it now, but get ready. Let's go.
Get ready.
All right. Have a
Have a
great
good
day,
day.
Stan.